Mother, mother, there's too many of you cry. Brother, 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 there's far too many of you die. You know we got to find a way to bring some loving. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Father, Father, we don't need to escape. Oh, it's not answer for only love can conquer. You know we got to find a way to bring some loving. Oh, yeah, yeah. Take it nice, take it sight, punish me with brutality. Talk to me, honey, so you can see what's going on. What's going on? Yeah, what's going on? Tell me what's going on. Woo! Come on here. Woo! Ah, baby. Everybody thinks we're wrong. They do. But who are they to judge us? Simply cause our hair is long. People, you know, we've got to find a way to bring some understanding. Yeah, pick it nice, pick it size. People don't punish me with brutality. Don't to me. So you can see what's going on, what's going on. Yeah, what's going on? Wanna know what's going on? All right. Oh, what's going on? Wanna know, I want to know, baby. What's going on? Na. Well, hello. How's everybody doing today? How have things been for you all this week? How have your week been going? Just thought I'd give you guys a little bit of something. Some of Marvin Gaye. It's one of my mom's favorites. Yeah. Just want to know what's going on. Tonight we're going to be talking with some great people. I am going to be sending out some information to everybody so we can get them hooked on and streamed in. If you guys give me just a little bit of time here, I'm going to be getting everyone I possibly can on for this stream. What's everybody doing tonight? You can ask some questions. You could talk about it. We could I'm sending out information to them right now. So if you guys just be a little patient with me, I will make sure I. Can you turn that down? I'm sending the link out so we can get everyone on who needs to be on. How's everybody doing tonight? What are we doing tonight? What's the cause for tonight? Give me 1 second. Yes, sir. I'm sending you the link right now. All right. So I'm typing the link in to everyone. Y'all tell me what's going on. How's everybody's evening? Trying to make sure I get everybody's email. All right, let's see if we. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Tonight we're going to be talking to the candidates for mayor. I'm sending out a link now to everybody to make sure we can get them all on. I've invited Mr. Gainey. I've invited Mr. Peduto. I've invited Tony, and I've invited Michael. So all these people are getting their streamlined now. So with that being said, let's see who is and what is happening. Seeing how I can get everybody on here. If you all just be a little patient, tonight was going to be, I threw this together right away because this thing has to be, we got to talk about it. It is serious. It is honestly and truly, absolutely serious, and we need to have a conversation. So let's make sure everybody gets the link. Let's make sure everybody gets in. And with that being said, I'm connecting myself with everyone now. You all got to understand, we got to get everybody on here because this is important. I'm going to Mr. Gainey's page now, at Gainey for Mayor. We're going to link him right in as well. Sending him a message. So if you're on his page, I'm dropping it right on his main page. Just why, so he will not be able to say we did not give him an opportunity to be able to get on here and say what it is he needs to say, do what it is he needs to do. So we got on there.
Hello.
Good evening, Tony. Good evening. How you doing, man?
Good evening. Any better, I'd be in heaven, brother. Life is good.
Life is good, Tony. I totally appreciate you being able to jump on when you jump on. Let's see if we can get everybody else in here. I'm actually shooting this all over to everybody. I know sometimes it takes a little bit to get us all in there, but let's see if we can do what we can do. If you just be a little more patient with me. How was tonight's debate, man?
It was really good. It's very hard to hear politicians talk about problems when they've been in charge. And I just try to stick with the message that I have. You know, the numbers don't lie. We know the problems. There's fixes out there. I don't know why they just don't apply them. I would rather just stay retired than do this, to tell you the truth. But I also I see the need for it because there's nobody out there advocating for our communities. I mean, it's just that simple. So when I could get in there and I could just look at the numbers, I don't have to get personal about anything. This isn't a personal issue. These are everybody has a record to stand on, and I'm proud of mine, and I just try to tell everybody what theirs is, that we can all see, and there has to be a change in it. So I felt real good about it. You know, it's I think it resonates. I think people understand it. People get it.
Tony, I'm just gonna put some headphones on so
No,
it
it's all
won't be
right.
a whole lot of backdraft in it when you're talking and I'm yelling and screaming at everybody. So I apologize about that. But ultimately, you had a good discussion
Yeah.
with them today.
Yeah, it's funny. I learn something new every time. You know,
Wow.
I get information about someone, and I mean, it's just not hyperbole or rumor. It's actual video, or it's a news interview clip or a quote, and I hear them talk. I mean, the gentrification issue is such a big deal, and I hear them act like they had nothing to do with it. I mean, I just got a video of an old interview, and Mr. Gainey says I was part of the master plan. And when we got rid of those towers, we were able to move forward.
I got a
Like,
question.
oh,
I got a question
my
for you,
goodness.
Tony.
Yeah.
Since you mentioned that, now I've shot this out to everybody so they can get on, man. And I want to be fair to almost everyone. And I want before we get into this heavy, let me say this to you. Hold on.
Hey, can you send Mike Deal the link?
I'm trying to. What's Mike's Facebook page?
You know, oh, goodness gracious.
I'm trying. I've been trying to send it to him. I sent it to him twice. It's Mike Deal, right?
Diehl.
Diehl. Okay, I'm gonna ask him for his email right now. I sent that. I'm waiting for him to respond back.
Uh, Tony, I just want to get into it so bad. So
No, that's all right. Listen, I'm yours for however long you want me, brother. I'm done traveling around all over the place. I've settled back in here. I literally ran out of the house after the debate, had to go out to another restaurant owner's speech that I gave, and now I ran back home. So I'm yours, man. However long you need me.
I totally appreciate that, man. I really and truly do. I totally appreciate that. I'm thankful because I know the people want The people wants to know. The people want to hear it. The people want to get a chance to speak to you. The people want to get your point of view, because you're one of the least people who says a lot but don't get their point across. And for that reason, I want to make sure you get it across
I
this
appreciate
evening.
it.
Yeah, this evening.
Yeah, that's what it is. I think my message is solid. It's just a people message, and our politicians have just lost their tone deaf. They've lost connection there, and they're self-serving. And I mean, I don't care what anybody says about me. I was a cop for 24 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've been said the worst things to me. I got thick skin. I'm a big boy. I could take that. But if you haven't heard me, then there's no possible way you could disagree with me.
And there's no possible way for you to say, if you heard me, that what I said didn't come from me.
Right.
Uh, so I, I'm hoping that we get him on there.
He said he's on. Mike Deal
He said he's on.
All right, we're waiting for him. Wait for him to bring in, so we can definitely talk about the conversations. I've actually reached out to Mr. Paduda's camp. I've reached out to Ed Gainey's camp. I've sent it to everybody's cell phone and by email and by Facebook page, so it can be proof that I did reach out to Mr. Gainey on his cell phone, on his We the Mirror page, and I put it up there so everybody can go there and look and see. So this can be fair all the way across. I want to give everybody an opportunity to really and truly explain, because I've seen some things online. I've been posting some things. A lot of people have been giving me some things. So I just want to ask a few questions. I want to give you an opportunity to talk, Tone, because that's important to my heart, man. I'm going to be honest with you. Let's just see if we can get him in here just momentarily here. Um, did you see the article that came out on Channel 4 News?
I have not seen any news today.
Not today. It came out the other day.
Oh, about the finance.
About the misuse of finances, and they can't find it. I mean, there's a lot of questions that we want to question. And listen, and I don't want this to be that a witch hunt. I don't want this to be, let's talk about the nitty and gritty. I'm with you. When you talk about the gentrification, and then you stand up and then you come out and say, oh my God, thousands of people is leaving Pittsburgh. Thousands of colored people leaving Pittsburgh. No, thousands of people, not just colored, thousands of people are picking up leaving because of gentrification. Right across the street from Ricky Burgess's church, he's supposed to have gentrified that street on Kelly Street. Ricky Burgess's church is right there in Ed Gainey's district. You would not believe the rent that they're asking for a one-bedroom apartment in that gentrification. All right, Mike, we got you, baby. We appreciate you on. I got Mike and Tone on. I just got a message. I do want to clear the air. I got a message from the camp of Mr. Paduda saying that he unfortunately is out and about, and he will not be able to come on this evening. But I've sent it out there. Even if he can go into a quick corner and talk about it, I would definitely appreciate it. I would love for him to get on. I've reached out to Mr. Gainey and seen if Mr. Gainey, I will try one more time just to see if Mr. Gainey would be reluctant to get on, just to see what his whereabouts is. God know in heaven, I would love.
Stand by here.
Mike, tell me how your day was today, man. How have you been today? I think everybody's taking a 5-minute break.
No, I was just getting the rest of my suit. Yeah, things are good. I had a good day.
That.
Put out some yard signs. Pretty good day overall. We had a African American Chamber of Commerce debate was today at 5:15, so that went well. Yeah, I think it's pretty good on the whole. Someone knocked on my you fast enough and told me to call you. I want you to know. Okay.
I appreciate that.
It was the Christmas campaign. I was just like, no, I'm on it. They're like, are you sure? I'm like, I'm okay. So, okay. How to get a hold of me? You can call or text or just bang loudly. Also effective. No, it's fine.
So, Mike, I do want to say I apologize from that. Any means necessary.
Okay.
I am, and I'm not gonna lie to you. I am that man that moves and shakes all through the hours of
You
the night.
move and shake.
I like to get the job.
You were like,
I
I
like
didn't
to
hear
get the
back
job
from you an
done.
hour, and if you don't text me back, I'm just gonna knock on your door. I'm like, all right, okay, I'm home. Yeah, I'm here. It's fine.
I totally appreciate that.
It's all good.
I was talking to Tony just a moment ago before you got on, and I had shared with him about a couple of days ago. There was a news article, Channel 4 News posted some information about the misusages of money. But before we get into that, I want that to sink into your head. I want to give you an opportunity to talk about the gentrification, because Tony, I've heard Tony, and I'm not going to lie to you, Mike. I'm blown away on Tony's idea. I like what Tony is saying, but I guess the people need to know, where are you at with this? Because it's imperative, Mike, for us to understand the gentrification. Because let me just say this, and if I can be blunt, guys, in the future when you guys see me, when you all are the honorable mayor or whatever it is, your destiny take you from here. When you see me in the street, I'm always going to be authentic. How in the hell can you be a politician in today's world, say you're going to gentrify a community or gentrify a city, different parts of the city, and then get back up on national television and every platform in America and say, oh my God, we're losing people? Tell me what you think of that, Mike.
It's a real problem. No, I mean, people are leaving because they have no affordable place to live. It's a fact. And, the people that are welcome in our city are people who can afford like a one-bedroom apartment for $1,200 or $1,500. It's insane, the prices that these new buildings go by. Luxury housing, and the minimum rent is $1,200 or $1,500. Then we're not going to keep the people who live here. Only new employees who are bankers or whatever who move in from elsewhere are going to be able to actually live here. And time and again, this problem is unaddressed, okay? The developers give money to the candidates, and the candidates give whatever the developers want to them. Just think anything they want, okay? It's a huge problem. Okay, my campaign doesn't take money from developers. We're a little broke compared. As a result, I mean, we're talking about $1 million between the top two candidates. It's insane how them and their super PACs and their hidden PACs. There's a ton of money out there, all right? You're going to see 1 million ads on TV. You're going to get 1 million. I have a few billboards and some yard signs, and you, okay? It is what it is, okay? But one of the problems that you really have to do is to treat developers equally as you treat people. You can't have the system where developers come second, okay? In a luxury high-rise where the rent is more than $1,200 or $1,500 for an apartment, then you need to, the 25% of that unit is affordable housing so that some of these people have a place to live. Now, there's no city that's eliminated gentrification, okay? The process, I can't provide you a cure-all. It's difficult, but other places have done a much better job supporting affordable housing amidst growth. And we really are. Every time the mayor talks about it, he always talks about the poorest 3 neighborhoods, and how there it makes no sense to have an affordable housing mandate, or the problem is they're going to want to live there. That's just not the case. Okay? I mean, we're talking affordable housing in livable states, and we're not doing that.
Yeah. Well, Tony, I'm going to ask you this question. Just, can you guys hear me very well?
I hear you.
Okay. About that super PAC and that extra PAC and that roundabout PAC and that money that has been stolen, been missing. You guys don't have the same opportunities to that as the other gentleman has?
I went before the Labor Council. You know, I'm a union member. I know they don't like the FOP one, but they protect jobs. And I told them I've been in arbitration that's intentional by this mayor because they just don't give anybody what they deserve. So I went before all these unions and told them, look, I advocate for workers. That's what this is all about. That's what unions mean. It means together. And they all endorsed Bill Peduto. And I went back and I touched some people that I know politically that I don't know them because of politics. I know them personally, and they happen to be involved politically. And I was trying to find out what was going on. And what was told to me was they don't have anything on me, and I don't have dirt on them, and I can't. The word can't was used, be at the top of the ticket. And the word can't is very specific. The reason they use that word is because there's nothing that can move me. So I can't be at the top. There's deals that are already made on both sides. There's people that are prepared for if the state rep gets elected, and there's people that are prepared for Bill gets reelected. You know, you watch the Democrat Party, and they just break their own rules. You know, you come in and you play by the rules, and if you're not part of that machine, they shut you out of everything. But you saw it, Mr. Gainey, there was two people that were about to get endorsed in the Democrat Party, and were both minorities. Because I'm Mexican Native American on my father's side, and I'm Scottish Irish on my mother's side. So we were about to endorse a minority for mayor. They endorsed Ed Gainey. But Bill Peduto went in and made some deals with some of these ward chairs that go totally against party rules. They came out and endorsed Bill Peduto because of political favors. They turned their back on the first African American that was endorsed to be mayor of Pittsburgh. There's a party problem there. Now I know that they don't see it that way, but everybody else does. So when you see this movie, all this money get moved around, it doesn't get moved to me. You know who endorsed me were the Boilermakers, because they don't have a stake in the city. I'm just a union person. So when I went to their union Christmas party, I talked about union issues and arbitration and how the city brutalizes us. Right now, the city of Pittsburgh is not covering police widows in Medicare. I mean, in their medical. They drop the medical as soon as the member dies. So as soon as we found that out, we went to the city and said, hey, this is happening. You can make it right. You just got to call down and stop it. The city refused and made us go to arbitration. So now we have to go and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars while police widows are suffering. We just had another member die. He died of pancreatic cancer. Now he's got a wife and two kids, and they don't get covered. And they do it intentionally.
And and they give their life, and they stand out on these lines, and they're standing all this dangerous paths. And then you hear about a situation. It just blows my mind. If you can't, the wife is the homemaker. She's home taking care of the children, making sure that he has or she has somewhere to come home warm to and clean to. I think that's a sticky job, Tony, and it's something that's dear to my heart because my friend, a close friend of mine, is a widower. She lost her husband some years ago, and and I'm going to be honest with you, she went to Ed Gainey years ago. Just because you happen to mention this, I can recall this. She went to Mr. Gainey as a state representative where he can change things, where he can make some stuff happen for the community. And she laid this at him and gave him the opportunity to want to change some things and make some difference. He didn't. He hasn't. It's probably now on his desk as a paperweight because he has not done anything with it. I want to get into something that's very particular with both of you guys, and I know we could probably talk all night about the great deals. I want the people to know the fix that's in on the mere fact that it's not an equal playing field because you two gentlemen have not been offered or have not been able to get the same amount of gratitude we'll just say hell with it, the same amount of respect as the other two candidates And do you know the reason why you guys haven't gotten that amount of the same amount of respect? Mike?
Go ahead,
Well,
Mike.
I'm not elected yet. I mean, they're both elected, and they have been in office for more than a decade. I think they're seen as the candidates that are known, and so that's kind of how it is. I mean, outsiders, if they win, it's always a surprise. I think of Bernie Sanders and his win, or any outsider, and so time and again, it's always a surprise because people look for established politicians to be their candidate of choice, and that's who they want to see win and vision. You don't really see change coming; it just happens, and that's the case in this election also.
Go ahead, Tony. Tell me what you
So
think.
I gave about an hour and a half long interview about police reform. I know it inside and out. I know what has to happen. I know where the corruption is. I know who the players are. I know how they're manipulated. And I'm not part of that program. That's why I struggled to succeed for so long in the police department. And it's one of those issues where, like I said, an hour and a half interview, there were 42 paragraphs, and I got mentioned 4 times. And the first one was just introducing me as a candidate. So I sent out through my media company a request for equal time. And when you read some of these news articles, all you see is two faces, or some of the TV reports, all you see is two faces. And I said, I've been doing this for 2 years now. And they said, Ed Gainey is the state rep and he's the endorsed Democrat, and Bill Peduto is the incumbent. And that's how we're going to go. So they don't care. They don't care that what I say has a lot of real content. It has a lot of real answers to the problems. I talk directly against what's going on now, because what's going on now is hurting people. And they just don't cover it. So that's why it's important to be out. It took me 2 years to get to this point. That's why I'm so strong. I've been in neighborhoods and I've been to communities, all communities, and I hear from them what's happening, and I just tell them, well, this is what's going on. And almost all of it is policy run by the mayor. So most of these things I could point right to and tell you why it's happened that way.
Let me
But
say
the
this.
news, if they don't want to cover it, I can't do anything about it. Mike and I are just happy to be able to get on things like this.
Let me say this. Let me say this if I can. And just in the defense of working with Bill myself, just personally, for me, and I want you guys to understand, for me in my community, the community that I represent, I may not be in the same community as you, Tony, and I know I may not be in the same community as you, Mike, but for the community that I represent on this side, I want to say this to you guys. I'm going to be devil's advocate for Mr. Peduto. Bill put in place for the Black community Mr. Gainey. He put Mr. Gainey in the middle of politics and policies and the people of Pittsburgh. I feel particularly, as I have been on this journey for a long time, and just as long as Ed has been doing what Ed has been doing, I feel like there needs to be an apology. I feel as if something has taken place, because Ed, when Ed was Ed Gainey, when he first came out 10 years ago, he was a upstanding, honest guy. But the ads and things that I'm starting to see in all the news articles and the comments that I'm getting, Ed and I had a conversation, guys. I'm telling you guys, I need to tell this to you. The mayor, Bill put Ed in the middle so this situation wouldn't occur. All the gentrification, all the people being dishoused, the situation where you're riding up and down the street, taxpayer dollars. Man, I'm telling you, in the morning when I go off to work, I live on one particular street that's a two-way street. I have to go up my hill, around through Penn Hills, drop down through Overland, and come down on Lincoln Avenue just to get out of here. They're ripping up all the streets all over the place. And when you call down to Ed's office, there's not a soul in his office. No one's taking any phone calls. People aren't even working from home. That's first of all. When you call 411 and you call down and you speak to the mayor's office, I understand it is the mayor's office. So he has set up a chain of a procedure. you call down the 411, they're confused. They don't understand why the people haven't knocked on their door and said anything. But I just want to say this in the defense of Bill. He set someone up. He set two individuals in the Black community. He set us up with that. Those two people, I feel personally, you guys, Tony, I love you, man. I think you're a great dude. You're on ball, and you're an ex-police officer. Why? How come what I'm saying, we can't get along? And the policies and procedures. Mike, I'm listening to what you're saying, and I got my ear close to it. You're saying some great policies, and you're mentioning some great things. But personally, for me, I'm confused as hell because I'm going to be honest with you. The mayor that's in office now set some people up and they did us dirty. And then he's running for office. He's running not only for he was a state legislation where he can state legislation. I apologize, you all. I'm going to get it right. He was a state representative. And as a state representative, he botched and tore up what great relationship we had with that office to demise the community. Him and another person who's not at this time running for an office. So for me, I'm kind of confused. I'm kind of confused why there's a Tony, why there's a Mike, when Bill put these people in. But now that I'm listening to you guys, and now that I hear it, and I'm telling you guys, the people are saying, we see it. We understand, because it looks like, you know how you go to, you got little kids, it looks like smoke and signals, or what is it called? A magic show at a kid's party. And I'm being honest, this thing has confused us to the high most. I'm confused. I'm really, really confused. I'm just going to give you guys a little bit of something that has happened, particularly with me. I had a conversation with Mr. Gainey some time ago. And when I had that conversation with Mr. Gainey, I asked Mr. Gainey a few questions. It was basically me giving him his interview for Let's Talk About It. And this was before he announced his candidacy. I want to ask you guys, how do you feel about
why didn't he announce a year ago? I don't understand. Tony announced 2 years ago, and I waited for someone to step up and announce. 2 weeks before Ed Gainey. I can show you the Twitter post, okay? I said, who's a liberal Democrat has to run against Bill Peduto, okay? And I'm a liberal Democrat. Ed Gainey took his goddamn time. Pardon my language. His time, all right? If Ed Gainey reached out to me and reached out to the people, and a year before the election, like everyone else does, a year before the primary, you say you're running, okay? Then we all would have taken Ed Gainey seriously, okay? I came out of the woodwork because if you tear gas hundreds of innocent protesters, some of them are going to be pissed off enough to put me on the ballot, okay? Because if crack cocaine's illegal in Pittsburgh, tear gas can't be too. But I got to tell you, okay, Ed Gainey should have announced long before. And then when Ed Gainey announced, like, are you going to drop out for Ed Gainey? I'm like, well, let's try to talk to the man. We called him, we emailed him. He would not get back to us. His campaign is terribly run, and that they wouldn't get back to us. And I had real policy questions I wanted, and he just ignored me, okay? I tried to reach out to him, and he just didn't see me as a real opponent. He ignored me and everyone in my campaign. We tried to talk to him as people part of the campaign. We tried to talk to him as individuals who were just concerned. And time and again, I got nowhere. I approached people I knew who were supporting his campaign, and he never got back to me, okay?
Let me say this to you, Mike. Let me say this because I'm trying to drive this in here. Ed made a statement 2 weeks before he announced his candidacy. I called him the day when you announced yours. I appreciate
that. But he didn't get back to me. He could have called me. My number's public. He didn't care. No one took me seriously. And there was another candidate. The first debate, they had Will Parker on the ballot. He didn't get enough votes to be a Democratic candidate. He's claiming he's running as dependent. Say what you will about me and Tony. We're both on the Democratic ballot on May 18th running as Democrats, okay? And instead of me, the first debate, they invited Will Parker, who's not on the ballot, all right? I mean, you have to remember who's on the ballot. There are 4 candidates, myself, Tony, Ed, and the mayor. And I appreciate that. And I mean, it is what it is. I didn't
I
mean
want
to
to say this to you.
I just wanted to put it out there that I was aghast at how long he took to announce his candidacy.
Listen, I want to say this to the both of you guys. I had a conversation with him the day you announced your candidacy. We were doing similar. It was a just question and answer over the telephone just to get him ready. I asked Ed a few questions, and listen, my mother has passed away, guys, and on everything I love, I'm going to tell you guys, and I want to ask you all how you all feel about this being the person who is running for mayor at this time. Ed had said, I asked Ed the question about, hey Ed, what is it that you're going to do? Because I hear you're running. I seen him in a restaurant, and then I turned around and called him on the telephone to get personal with him so I can really and truly know where he's going. And guys, hear me out when I say this. I had gotten Ed on the telephone, and we had about a 30-minute conversation. I began to ask him about the different places and where he's going with his candidacy and how come he hasn't came out with it. I'm going to be honest. I only got three things out of Ed's conversation. I asked him about what was he going to do? Why was he going from state to come down to back to city? And it just kind of blew my mind because I didn't understand that. He had shared with me he can do a whole lot more as a mayor than he can a state representative. So I asked him the question as well. Well, you can change laws at the level of political level you are at right now. You can really and truly change laws. I said, particularly in the neighborhood I live in, Tony, hold your breath because this is what's going to give you a shocker. I said, at the level of political game you are at, you would be much more greater than anything than a mayor. I asked him about the people in his office and said, Ed, are you referring or recommending anybody to step into that position? Are you grooming anyone for that position? He shared with me, he said, and this is his words, and I quote, and I will play that for you guys this evening, what I'm saying to you all. He said there's nobody in his office who has worked in the past 5 years who he would recommend. Now, he named two gentlemen who worked for him he had let go, and the other person he said he's still with him. I'm not going to name their names because they're not the topic of this conversation. But he said to me, I wouldn't even recommend them two individuals. Hell, and I quote, Ed said, hell, at this point in time, nobody. I wouldn't recommend nobody. And I began to explain to him how important it is for him to stay in that position because we would not want to lose that position, just as it can be critical, the laws and the legal things he would have to write for the people in the community. Our conversation began to keep going on, and I said something about the neighborhood that I represent. I represent the Homewood area because this is the place where I live at. This is where I pay my taxes at. My grandbaby's here. My daughter's here. This is the neighborhood I'm representing today, and I'll be representing tomorrow. I said to him, I said, Ed, what you think about Homewood, man? What you going to do with Homewood and East Liberty in the Lincoln Larmer area? And I swear you guys on everything I love, Ed Gainey, who is from Lincoln Avenue, said, fuck Homewood. They can burn. They don't want nothing but fucking money from me every time I look up. That was the conversation that I had with Mr. Gainey. I'll be more than willing to play that with you guys so you guys can hear it. On top of that, I just want to get into the most important of this.
I'd like to hear it. Yeah, go ahead.
The meat and potatoes of this. I've seen Ed on several occasions, and I've said to Ed, and this is not a witch hunt, and this is the reason why I appreciate you two gentlemen coming on here and giving the people an opportunity to hear you all, because every time you got people giving Ed block parties and giving Ed hoorays and giving Ed all this and giving Ed all that. And I appreciate you two, and I'm not going to lie to you guys, I appreciate Bill too as well, because when you turn around and look at it, all this hoopla that's going around the city of Pittsburgh, my opinion, Ed was one of the very ones who the mayor put in place so this chaos and this demise and this havoc would not happen. And to me, it's just a slap in the goddamn face because like I said, we as the people, we are confused about what is really going on because this person is our state representative and he represents a large part of the city of Pittsburgh. But how can you continue to keep playing our face, dance around, disrespect disrespect you three gentlemen who's running for mayor, as well as disrespect the Democratic Party, and we're okay with it. The politics are the bullying, the politics and the bullying here in Pittsburgh politics have to stop, and it has to stop somewhere. I think it's uneven and I think it's unfair that yourself, Tony, yourself, Mike, and Bill has to go through the nastiness of what politics is here in Pittsburgh. We're all grown ass men. And I think it needs to come to the place, whatever has happened in the past needs to be addressed so we can move on. Because lately, politics has been talking about money laundering. Lately, the politics has been talking about misallocated funds. Lately, politics has been talked about, well, Mr. Gainey, we don't see it. The books is messed up.
Well,
I'm telling you guys.
If I may, for a second, briefly, I would say I don't know if I've been disrespected by Ed Gainey. All of his interactions with me have been professional. I would say ignored. I mean, he didn't respond. He's been non-responsive. But
ignore means the disrespect.
That's fine. He has not personally disrespected me in any way. I mean, every interaction I always have him one-on-one has been cordial. It's hard to get a hold of him. He doesn't want to talk to me outside of certain venues, but I would say ignored is, I will say, yes. Disrespected, I mean, I haven't had a disrespectful interaction personally, but that's what I just want to say. Go ahead.
I mean, the word to be ignored is to be disrespected. I mean, how else is you going to put
I'll give you that. I'll give you that, but, I'm saying he hasn't said anything to me that was offensive. That's all.
If we're all on, he hasn't said anything that was offensive to me. He told me, fuck my life. Fuck Homewood. He said that to me. He said a few other choice words when I've asked him. I want to get you all's opinion on just how do we get over this? How do we pass that? How, as politicians, Tony, how do we get past that marker so we can get to the real meat and potatoes? Because all I see right now in the news is ads fuck ups.
That's par for the course. It's an election. Election day's in 2 weeks. All of his fuck ups. Every cat he ignored. Every dog that barked at him. You're going to find everything he's ever done, theoretically, that could be bad in the next 2 weeks. That's just what happens on election day. I mean, I feel like this is normative. I am shocked by none of it. I mean, I feel like this is our political process in action. Warts and all, okay? I mean, I do the thing in my closet. It's not a skeleton. It's a cat. Ask her to get out of the closet. I mean, I feel like anything to hide. But I mean, surely this feels normal. Ed Gainey has a real chance against Bill Peduto, okay? And as a result, they're pulling out all the stops. They're putting out advertisement that make Ed Gainey look much more black than he is. I mean,
let me say something to you, though, Tom. Mike, that's not Bill. That's not Bill.
I'm not saying it's Bill. I didn't mean to say it's Bill. But people who support Bill, I mean, a super PAC or a PAC is not something necessarily that is Bill's actions. It's a Bill supporter. The way I'm not saying that's Bill Peduto. I mean, I said they, but no, it's not. I can't say that's not
because
Bill.
I've been on this pavement, man, and I've been talking to these people, and I'm going to say, let me say this to you. This is the God honest truth, man. There is people who Ed, his work is in Ed's camp to this day, has reached out to me and sent information and said things to me that listen, guys, I can honestly and truly mention it, but I don't want to turn this into an Ed Gainey situation. I want this platform to be about you all expressing what you guys need for the people to turn out and to get out for you all. I need you all's numbers to come on up. I need you all's numbers to be about you. I need this platform to be about you all so people can understand. Forget Ed at this point in time. Ed isn't here. He had an opportunity to come on out. He ain't show up. So at this time, I want to give Tony and I want to give Michael an opportunity to use this platform to say what it is that you need to say. I asked you all what your opinion is because that's not professionalism on my behalf. I ran for political office against a wonderful gentleman. I ran for state for magistrate 12th and 13th ward against Kevin Cooper Jr. He is absolutely a wonderful person. Kevin and I wasn't outside. Now it took me a bit to understand what it is to be have grace with yourself. But after speaking with Kev and after talking with Kev explained to me about how you gracefully come into the room. I ran, Mike. There's some disrespect all the way around this, and it's not appreciated. Tonight's is about me
Let me
getting
just say
you.
thank you for running. I mean, we need more people like you, real everyday people, to run for office. So
Tonight
thank you
is
for
about
that. Go
you
ahead.
getting your numbers, me getting fixated on you, me understanding why Tony and Tone. You got me, man. You got me. I mean, and I'm going to be honest. I'm really feeling what you guys are saying, Mike. I want to hear. Let me hear what you guys tell. Let me give you 5 minutes. Let me give you a few minutes, Mike, if you can. Let me give you a few minutes to tell the people why you would make a great mayor of the wonderful city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Well, I'm 38, so time and open to talk about the 80s. I was born in 1982, so I have no idea what Pittsburgh was like back in the day that he refers to. Okay, it's the Biden plan. Okay, my worst case scenario is the Biden plan. You give me 32 years. Okay, if you give me 30, you'll find out maybe I get the job I want. Okay, Pittsburgh is a conservative city, and then we want everyone in town wants to know who they voting for. They want to shook your hand 10 times. They want to see you on TV for 5 to 10 years before they vote for you. Okay? So say what you will about Bill and Ed. They're public figures, and they've shook hand, and they've been on TV for many years. And that's the guys on average, the average Pittsburgh voter wants. And there's nothing wrong with that. And so if that means it takes more, I'm willing to accept that. But what I'm offering you is radical change. I just think that we need real change. I like to say there is a Pittsburgh in which they have a whole new police force. There's a Pittsburgh where community relations have been different. There's a Pittsburgh that doesn't have our mayor. It has a different mayor and a different city council. It's East Pittsburgh. And if you go to East Pittsburgh, it's currently patrolled by the state police, which is a great start. And from there, you can transition to a charter police force, a non-unionized police force. I want policing to be under the purview of the mayor. And then the mayor has real control. Then we can pursue radical policies. When you call 911 and you break your leg, you don't send 2 armed police officers. Similarly, when you have a mental distress, you just send a social worker. You talk to Bill Peduto, he sends police, and then if they want, they can call a social worker. I want to put different people in charge of public response. Okay, if you have a noise complaint, send a noise officer, a non-armed individual. They can call the police. Mental distress, send a social worker. And if they back up, they can call the police. But time and again, we're sending armed people to respond to non-threats that require that much policing. I think overall we need a new police force, and a vote for me is a vote for a new police force.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Mike, for that. Tony, it's your show. Take a few minutes. Tell the people what you're thinking about and why you would make a great mayor for the city of Pittsburgh today.
Thanks. I come from Southern California. It's where I was born. I said it earlier. I'm Mexican Native American on my dad's side. I'm Scottish Irish on my mom's side. I was the white kid in my neighborhood, but I was also the first Hispanic family to live on our block. So my mother in 1968 became pregnant with me from a Mexican. Her family kicked her out of her house at 17. She hadn't graduated high school. She had to drop out. She went to work at a potato chip factory. My father got involved in gang violence. He was involved with a Mexican gang. My mother took me away from that because she said she wasn't going to expose me to that. And when my father decided to grow up, then he could be back apart. Well, he died when I was 3 years old. That's my natural father. The father that I knew growing up, his name was Jose Luis Moreno. And he gave me so many things. He was such a modest man. He was a hard worker, but he did everything and he shielded us from the problems of the times of that. And I saw that coming in here into Pittsburgh. They made me prove that I was Mexican. I filled out my application and it said black, white, other. And I marked other and I wrote in Hispanic, and the woman pushed it back to me and said, "You have to fix this." I said, "Why?" She said, "You marked other and you got to mark white." I said, "But I'm Mexican." And she said, "You don't look Mexican." I said, "What does Mexican look like?" And she said, "Not you." So and I had never been faced with that before. So going forward, I see the problems from a very different angle. Yeah, I was the police officer, but I wasn't the police officer that was involved in the inner workings of Pittsburgh Police Department. You know, in this city, there is a generational incestuous corruption that goes on, and it's gone on for so long, they don't even realize what they're doing is hurtful. I see it immediately. I feel it immediately. So I started policing here. I picked Pittsburgh to raise my family because Pittsburgh is my kind of city. I love it here. I want it to be better. That's why I'm coming out of retirement to do this. I know the things that go on and the intention that they have. They're so intentional in their abuse, it hurts. And that's where my natural protector comes out. You know, I'm a servant. I was a military combat airborne veteran, and I served and I protected people. And as a police officer, I was the best police officer they had. When we were under the consent decree by the federal government, they used my numbers as the example of how good police work happens. I had more arrests, I used force, but I had less than 1% complaint to arrest ratio because I knew how to talk to people and I knew how to enforce the law in a humane way. And I look at what's going on now and I see politics of the day. Nothing's happening to these people. What we're seeing is the political corruption coming out in front of our eyes. You know, if you want to look back to Mayor Murphy with over here on the north side, he started this. You know, look at the connections that we have right now. Mayor Murphy, ex-Mayor Murphy, is a civilian contractor through the URA. Daniel Lavelle is on the URA. Ed Gainey is on the URA. Ricky Burgess is the land bank. And then you have Bill Peduto, who's in charge of all of it. He runs this whole thing. They're all still interconnected. They've been gentrifying this city since I came here, and it started in Manchester. They were selling properties, and Murphy was on these development boards. That's how he almost got in trouble. So now that's moved along, and it's come along, and they came in. Now Mr. Gainey's going into the high rise, giving people $1,000 vouchers to sign away their rights. He says, I don't have the power to do it. But if you look, I'm going to tell you what it is right now. Coffee with Ed Gainey, community leader and elected official on YouTube. He says out of his mouth, I was involved in the master plan. And when we got rid of those towers, we were able to start. And then he goes on with the master plan. He says those words. Now, he was brought into politics by Bill Peduto. Bill Peduto funded his first PAC. He helped him beat Joe Preston out there. So there goes Bill and Ed. Then Ed steps down from the city Democrat leadership so he could come out and endorse Bill Peduto as the mayor running from the council. So these two guys were tied as two coats of paint, and all of a sudden, now they're enemies. Nobody knows what happened. We don't know what went on. And you're right, Sam, when you say they owe us an apology, no, they owe us an explanation. We need to know what happened between these two because they worked hand in hand in what was going on all the way up until 2 weeks before November's election when they were walking through Homewood together. You see these things, and it's no wonder the community's confused. We don't know what happened. We don't know if it's real. Now you see them pointing fingers about money. You bring up $100,000 in endorsement money. Now a report comes out that there's almost $200,000 worth of unreported campaign finance money. And you see Mr. Gainey shoot right back at Mr. Peduto and say, but you took the same money. So you really want to get a look at this? We're about to get $355 million from the federal government to cover us, and there's billions of dollars more coming. Do you want these two men who are right now accusing each other and proving the corruption, do you want them in charge of that money? Because what we know right now for sure is Bill Peduto, while we were still under the gun and we were underneath water with our budget, he said he was going to lay off about 100 firemen. Well, the firefighters have a no layoff clause in their contract. So when you talk about 111, Act 111, those are things that are important to make sure those protections happen. So he's either lying to the citizens or he's lying to the union with his contract. Now, he took $11 million from the police budget and moved it over to Daniel Lavelle and Ricky Burgess for police reform. I know for a fact all these reforms that they're asking for that they can legally do are already in place in the city of Pittsburgh Police Department. The mental health reform, the mental health training. I taught de-escalation in that class. To say that we need de-escalation training is fraudulent. So what you're going to see happen is they're going to change the name. I have all the policies because I used to teach the class. I was a CIT trained officer. All these things were put forward that they're demanding now, but they were shut down by the administration as soon as 2012. We've been trying to get these things involved. It's not the police department that's fraudulent. It's the leadership. These leaders are appointed by the mayor. The mayor appoints the leaders and they act for him. They don't act for the community. So that's why you see this massive breakdown. Then the mayor will come out and make policy that says you're not allowed to arrest people for minor crimes, but you have police officers that go into their communities trying to enforce laws because there's victims of these crimes. It's such a breakdown because the lack of leadership, people are getting hurt. When you hear Bill Peduto in our last debate, and Mike was a part of it, when he says, well, that was a private owner and we can't begin to tell a private owner what to do with this property, he's lying. He's the mayor. He could send his building inspection out and just not grant them the permits to run until they go about doing things the right way. I didn't have a chance to say that publicly in that debate because we ran out of time. But now you have somebody who's going in at the behest of our government and Mr. Gainey, moving people out actively, saying he was on tape. Right now, everybody could go look at it, that he was part of the master plan, and then coming back and telling us we have to stop this gentrification. It's wrong. We can't do this. He's the only one that has the voice of the community to the government. People have to remember we elect leaders to be our voice. Ed Gainey hasn't passed one bill of substance, not one. He hasn't brought forward one bill that can pass. He has this gun bill out there that has no chance of passing because it's fraudulent. So you have a leader right now who's elected that can do something and they don't. The mayor, right? These two men are acting like they're applying for jobs they've never had before. If you were to come in and say, and look at the city right now, look at the city and say 90% spike in crime. Downtown's a nightmare. The school district is not graduating people higher than 30% of the students. They're gentrifying the neighborhood. Whoever's in charge needs to be fired. Right now, if you just looked at it, whoever's in charge needs to be fired. The Post-Gazette said it, we have the worst leadership in the country. There's been several news articles out about it, but they act like everything's fine going on and we need to fix these problems. These men together have been in charge and have been the voice of the communities, and they're not serving us. They're self-serving, and it needs to stop. The political game needs to end. That's what everybody's waiting for. That's why everybody's hoping I win, because you get a clean slate with me. Do you really think that Ed Gainey or Bill Peduto want the cop to come in and see the corruption? And if they think that I'm not going to find it or I'm going to be a part of it, they're wrong. They don't want me in there because I'm already exposing several things that they do. We have the lead investigator of the Office of Municipal Investigation right now. He got caught lying on the stand against another police officer in a story that he completely made up. Got caught perjuring himself. He committed a crime. That person just got promoted to sergeant by Bill Peduto. Right now, there's an administrator. There's an assistant chief of police who is responsible for over $700,000 in civil rights violations against her own officers that have to do with racial bias and gender bias. And she's still in that position. As a matter of fact, after the first lawsuit was settled, she was promoted to deputy public safety director. Last summer, when I started talking about it publicly, the mayor finally removed her from public safety director now, and she's still a chief of police. She's the assistant chief. $700,000 of your money. What could we have done with that? You know how many homes we could have put people in for $700,000? They don't care about us. I know the things that are wrong in this city, and I'll fix them because I'm not acting on my own accord. I'm retired. I'm coming out of retirement to do this because I'm watching them bully people. I'm watching them take advantage of people's lives are at stake here. Our communities are losing their identities. Do you want to? Hey, you want to go see some of the best jazz in the country? Well, you can't go to the Crawford Grill anymore in the Hill District because it's gone. Gone. Crawford Grill is just a building with a historical sign in front of it. They moved them down to Station Square, and now I don't even think they operate anymore. It's just gone. And that's intentional. They do these things intentionally. It's not by accident. They're the ones in charge, and something needs to happen. Something needs to stop. They don't represent our communities. Listen, I was just up in Northview Heights. You know what they told me? We want the police here. We need good policing, and they just don't act. And that's by policy. The mayor tells them not to do anything. I know these folks because I spent time with them. They know that I relate. I just go because they're a part of my community. I don't know why they're separating us other than they need their own power and control. And when I see that, it boils my blood because I'm watching people get made to beg for things that they should get naturally. These are financial issues, Sam. This is a financial problem. You know, this is what I learned when, cops throw a cape on and they think we're going to save the world. And believe me, nobody wants to shoot or hurt anybody because that changes your life. I've watched it happen. It's very difficult when that happens. But we do it because we're made for it. Most of us, there's some of us that aren't, and that needs to be addressed, and I'll address it. But when I go into these communities and I watch them be made to beg, grown men that are leaders in their community are made to beg our political leaders for the things that they should get naturally. And it just hurts because they get abused. They're treated like pawns in their chess game. It makes me mad. I'm trying to run and win a political office, so I try to temper what I say and how I say it. But this has to stop. I'm the only logical answer here because I have no other agenda but for Pittsburgh. You know what they asked me, Sam? When you leave in this debate this afternoon, what do you want to go away with as your greatest accomplishment? And I said this as soon as I read this 2 years ago, that the unemployment rate, this is pre-COVID, this is during the height of the growth in Pittsburgh, and I knew we were being gentrified because I was in these neighborhoods. I want the unemployment rate to change. I want to cut the black unemployment in half because I know if we do that, if we start putting jobs in front of people, they're going to take them and they're going to work and they're going to become owners of homes. They're going to live in apartments that they want. They're going to have a voice in their community and they are going to be just like everybody else in this city. The crime rate will drop through the floor. Stanton Heights is the example. People work, they have jobs. It's almost 50-50. It's the most integrated neighborhood in the city, but the crime rate's in the floor. You know why? People work and they own homes and they live where they're allowed. If I could break that down, pre-COVID, it was 2018. This was the unemployment rate in the black neighborhoods was a little over 11%. The rest of the city was 3.4%.
Hey, Tony.
During COVID, the city went up to about 6.5%. And the black unemployment went up to 16, and they're not even counting everybody because they just quit looking for jobs. They're not even in the workforce.
Hey, Tony.
This is hard. These numbers right here. Why aren't they addressing this issue? If you address this issue and you look at your own numbers, you can fix it. Why aren't you doing this? And that's when I realized everything is intentional. This is all part of their plan.
All right, Tony. Listen. I get it, man. You gave me a full rendition of why we think and why it is important for us to understand there's more out here than the slim pickings that we have and that we're always listening to. Tonight was based upon me making sure that you had a platform, that Mike had a platform, to be able to come in here and to really and truly say, hey, this is the situation, this is what we're doing. I really and truly believe in you, Tony. I believe, we have mutual friends. Uh, I see a great future for you. I really and truly do. I see a great future for Mike, because Mike is so young and he's ambitious. We got to come together as a collective group of people and really and truly bulldoze what is the bullying of politics, because it can't continue to keep happening. You guys have been great. I don't like to keep my viewers on longer than an hour. I promise you, Tone, I'm going to give you one day, nothing but your hour. I know we kind of cut into it because we were trying to get everyone on and try to make sure that everyone's going to be on. But I'm only giving them an hour. Tony, I totally appreciate you coming out. I'm telling you, Tony, we have 2 weeks before this is it. I'm going to have you back on. I'm going to have
Appreciate
you
it,
and
Sam.
Mike back on. With that being said, man, I want you to have a wonderful night. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. You and Mike were jumping on here so quick for the evening. I think the people need to hear from you guys. I think they need to hear from you guys once a week. If I got to do this once a week so we can get you all out there, I promise you, Mike, I promise you, Tony, that I am going to do that until May 18th. I got to see you all once a week, and so people can hear what you got to say, and people can hear, because we don't always get the debates. We always don't get to see what it is. But the bullying and the disrespect and the level of playing field's got to be equal. It's got to be equal. With that being said, Tony, have a wonderful night. Thank you for coming on. Let's talk about it. I will see you. Trust me, I'm going to call you as soon as this interview is over. I'm going to call you. I'm going to have my people get with you so we can talk a little bit more. And we're going to do it again once a week. I'm going to have you all on because it's important.
Hey, listen, check me out at realsteelmayor.com. Realsteelmayor.com. That's my website. Everything on Facebook runs off my name. And I'll come on however much you want, man. I got it all. It's been here, and now I can finally put it to real use. And listen, brother, we're all in this together. And we need to show that love appropriately, because one thing I learned is Manchester got the same problems as Carrot. Brighton Heights got the same problems as Northview Heights. Homewood's got the same desires as Westwood. We all want the same thing, and it just hurts when I see us when we're suffering. So I appreciate the time, man, and anytime you want me on, I'll make it happen. So I appreciate it, Sam.
I totally appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for coming on. Give me 1 second, Tone. Hold on. Guys, it has been an amazing evening. It really and truly have. Trust me when I say this to you guys, I'm looking forward to having every one of these candidates on as much as I possibly can. We have 2 weeks before this election, 2 weeks, and I think we got to question each individual. I can't do it by myself. Let's Talk here is about bringing the news to the people, bringing you all the information, being as authentic as we can, being as crystal clear as water. I'm going to talk to you all real soon. Trust me, I'm going to bring my friends back on. If I got to do it once a week, if I got to beg these men to get on here, I'm telling you guys, I got to have Paduta, I got to have Ed, I got to have Tony, and I got to have Mike, because we got to know what they saying. We got to hear what's on their minds. It's their duty to bring it, and they got to bring it correct. We're voting, y'all, and we're voting on May 18th. I look forward to seeing you all very soon. Y'all be blessed, stay fresh, wash your hands, and I'll see you all real soon. Peace.